So let's talk about owning a vehicle, maintaining a vehicle, and driving in these streets down here in the Dominican Republic. Because if nobody's told you yet, it's different down here. So once you're all settled, if you're like me, you're thinking, I still want to be able to drive a car. It gives you a certain level of freedom. I mean, public transportation is okay, and a lot of expats really just take Uber wherever they want to go because it's really, really cheap. You can take Uber from one side of the town to the other side of the town for like $5, right? So it's really inexpensive to just take Uber. But there's a certain level of freedom that you get, as you already know, when you own your own vehicle. So I want to share some things with you here, and at the end, I want to share with you a statistic that I found that I think every person moving out of wherever you are ought to be aware of, and specifically in the Dominican Republic. Now, if you are Dominican, I'm not coming at you. You guys drive the way you drive. You do it Dominican style, right? And so it is what it is. The country has a lot of great things to offer. Driving in road conditions, not necessarily one of them. But anyway, let me do this. Let's start with purchasing a vehicle. Now, you can get them for various prices around here. When I started, I was looking at like the Honda CRV because it sets up a little bit high, and I've driven SUVs for a long time, and the Honda CRV seems to be like the vehicle of choice for people who have a little bit of money. And I don't have a little bit of money. I have a very little bit of money, right? But when people arrive here to get into what is like the middle class, that seems to be the vehicle they want to drive. And that's cool, whatever, right? I just like to because, well, it's a dependable vehicle. But at the same time, well, they're a little costly down here. I guess, supply and demand, right? People want it, so they're going to charge more for it. So I chose something different. So I'm going to run a little excuse me, a little something to let you see what my vehicle looks like, and this is it. So I personally bought something for a lot less money, a Ford Escape, I think that's what it is. I don't even know what it is. I drive it every day, right? But I bought this vehicle because it's only $8,000. Well, $8,500 is what I paid for it, and I thought, well, I could spend the 16, 18, 20,000. But I'm paying cash, and I thought, well, if I could do less, I'm going to do less, right? It only makes sense. I mean, if you're making payments, that's whole nother thing. But I'm not down here to go into debt. I'm wanting to live free. I want to live the good life. So I just purchased that vehicle, or this vehicle, and it serves me well. Now, when I bought the vehicle, I didn't have to worry about doing the registration and all of that. The dealer took care of all of that for me. I just paid for the vehicle, came back several days later. They had all the paperwork ready, and they actually had the insurance all set and ready for me to go. And the insurance cost me like $120 a year. Some very, very nominal amount of money. So I just paid the whole year there, and I guess that's what most people would do. So you get your vehicle purchased, and I would suggest probably just going to a dealer and get them. I was looking on Facebook Marketplace, and you can buy vehicles on Facebook Marketplace, but when you do, you got to do all the registration yourself. They're just going to take your money and give you the keys, and then you're on your own. And if you don't know the hoops to jump through, because it's not, based on my research, it's not just go to one place like you do, or like I did back in Georgia. I just go to the DMV or whatever that place was at the courthouse. They, do the registration, and the thing would arrive in the mail a few days later. That was it. But it seemed like there was a lot more going on whenever I researched it. So I thought, well, this is a better route for me to go, because I don't want to get, hung up out here, hemmed up. Anyway, so once you get your vehicle purchased, you do that. I pay cash. You do it however you want. Then I'm thinking, well, I need to maintain the vehicle. And fortunately, there's a place that lives, well, just a stone's throw from where I'm living, or a place that is just a stone's throw from where I live right now. It's the Goodyear Service Center. So I take it by there, and here's what that looks like. I take it by there. I get the oil changed. I do all that kind of stuff. They wouldn't flush the radiator, but they would. I bought tires for the car, and I did all of that stuff. Went back later to get my brakes fixed because my pads were beginning to squeak a little bit. So I got two front brake pads put on, and I think that cost me like $40, parts and labor. So I said, okay, well, cool, that's a lot less than I would spend back in the States. So I got that done. So I'm maintaining the vehicle, and you got to be able to do that. And so you want to find reputable places to get that done. My air conditioner started to not blow really cold the way the way you like for it to. And so I talked with one of the guys there who had recommended me to other places, for service and that kind of thing. He recommended me to go to this certain place to get my air conditioning service looked at. I got there. Nice guy, speaks perfectly good English. He actually lived in Atlanta, Georgia for some time, and I think he said his brother lives in Tampa. He's visited there, and so he spent some time in the U.S. and has a very, very, looks like a thriving business. I think it's a family-owned business, and so yeah, I went there, and there was a part that was missing, and they had jerry-rigged it, and the part is really difficult to get, he says here in the DR. It's something that you would have to have shipped from the U.S. And I never thought about parts having to be shipped if I needed something from a vehicle. But we're not in the U.S. anymore, right? Or we're not in Kansas anymore, are we, Toto? But anyway, but he searched out and he found it within like a day or so and got that taken care of for me. And then this part would have cost me probably $1,300-1,400 in the States, including labor. Probably more than that. It cost me like $400, like $380 some odd dollars here. So I'm thankful for him for taking care of that for me. And if I can find his, I'm not on Instagram. He's on Instagram, and if I can find something about him, I'll throw it up here for you guys to see. So if you are in the DR already, if you're in Santiago and you need to get your air conditioner service, you can go there to get that done. Anyway, so you buy your vehicle, you need to find places to maintain it and go where you want. I try to find places I started with the Goodyear place because Goodyear is familiar to me. Get to know the guy that works there, the service manager. He recommends me to go to other places if I'm in need of other services that they don't provide. And he's been good about that. The references that he has given me has been good, so I'm comfortable with that. Now, once you got your vehicle, you know how to maintain it, it's registered and it's in your name, right? Now you're out on the street, and this is where the fun begins, because it's different down here. Let me tell you, Dominicans, okay, they get their own style of driving. I was being taken to the well vet's place, because when I need something done or I want to go by, like if I want to do PT or whatever, they'll send an Uber to take me there and I don't have to pay for it. One of the guys who drives the Uber is Dominican, of course. Well, I shouldn't say of course, but he is. And he lived in the U.S. for, I think it said like 25, 30 years. So we got to talking, and I was like, yo, bro, do they even have traffic laws down here? He said, yes, absolutely. They have traffic laws, and they're pretty much the same as they are back in the States. But here's the thing. Once the people get their driver's license, they don't pay attention to laws. They just do whatever. Everybody's out here freestyling, doing whatever they want, wherever they want, whenever they want, and you had better watch out, because it's different down here. So here's some of the things you're going to see on the streets, and then we'll talk about the streets. If you are driving, or if you come to a traffic light, and let's say there's two lanes that will go straight, like the right lane, and then there's the left lane, but then the left lane is going to be a middle lane because there's a turning lane there, right? So the left turn only lane, you've seen those before, right? Well, here's what you're going to see here. You're going to see the people in the middle lane, the right lane, and even from the median turning left. Yeah, that's what you're going to see, right? And you're going to be sitting there going, so what in the world is this? Well, this is just the way it goes. They just do whatever they want to do. I remember another situation. I'm sitting at a traffic light, and I'm like the second or third person at the light. And so when the traffic starts to go, and we're all turning left, or we should be, some will turn right, but we're all turning left. Some people will just speed around you and cut you off to beat you to the turn. It's like there's a thing where driving is like a competition. Everybody wants, they're jostling to get in front of each other, kind of like 16-year-olds do when they first start to drive. You know how they can be really impetuous, and they're trying to get to the next traffic light before the other guy? Part of the reason I'm sharing this with you and I'm doing this video is because in the last video, if you remember, I'm walking down the street, right? I'm recording and I'm walking against the traffic so that I can see traffic coming toward me. And then there's two cars going in the same direction as I, but they're on the other side of the street. And then there's an orange car. If you remember, I'll run this here. The orange car crosses into the oncoming traffic and speeds ahead, passing two cars at the same time while there's traffic coming at him. Everybody has to stop so that he can do what he wants to do, right? And I was talking to a Dominican, and they say, well, people on the street, they just want to do what they want to do. They don't really care about anything else. The laws, traffic, whatever else is happening around them, this is what they want to do. And what made it so bad is that within about 2 minutes, he's turned around and going back the other way. And so he wasn't going anywhere. They are willing to risk their lives, your lives, and everybody else's lives around you in order that they might get to the next traffic light before you, because that's where you're going to see them after they do all of this stuff. Now, if you're Dominican, I'm not saying this to come at you, but you know yourself, your driving here is dangerous. And if I didn't share this with people who were thinking of moving to the Dominican Republic and they've not been here before, then this is something that you need to expect. People will not necessarily stop at traffic lights. They will not maintain lanes. They will just drift from lane to lane. Okay, you're gonna see 2-lane streets where there's 4 lanes of traffic, right? And the lines won't mean anything. They're just out there doing their thing. And like I say, I'm going to share a statistic with you at the end that, well, you'll see. So just hang around. Now, what you're going to also see, and I've spoken to other people who are expated or who have moved here to the Dominican Republic, is that there is an inordinate number of men, particularly men, maybe women too. I'm not seeing this with women, but particularly men who are amputees. They've got one leg. They've lost a leg. And I could be wrong, but I'm going to contribute it to this. The motorcycles, they have no, they don't respect their lives or yours. They're just doing whatever they want to do. And I know back in the States, people drive cars crazy. They drive motorcycles crazy. But here, if there's a 2 or 3 lane street, the motorcycles are going to be between all the cars. They're going to be between the cars, and they're just going to be all over the place. It seems to me as if the motorcyclists, they have this thing in their head where they shouldn't have to stop. And so they never stop. They'll just keep moving, and they'll go between the bumper. If there's 6 inches between your bumper and the other car's bumper, they're coming up between that to get around and then go down. They just won't stop. And so I attributed this large number of amputees to these motorcyclists, because you'll see them on 4-lane highways popping wheelies in the middle of traffic, endangering themselves. I've seen images of them with their brains scattered on the road, just brain matter out there, and nobody's going to stop it. The police, they don't stop it. I was at a traffic light the other day, right? I'm sitting there. There's a car next to me, and there's turn lane here, and there's oncoming traffic, but we're supposed to be stopped. And the traffic, there's no traffic coming from the left because there was nothing there, but there was traffic coming out of the from the street on my right? But the guy across from me, he decided, well, I want to go anyway because, you know, I'm Dominican and I should just go. So he decided to go. There was a police officer standing that's like 2 of them there. They were standing there, and the guy was trying to go, but the traffic was keeping him from just jetting on out there. But he was making his way through, and the police officer was kind of, you know, making his way up to the guy's car to say, hey, stop, pull over, pull over. The guy looks at the police officer and is like, and he's gone. He's like, I don't care. You can't do nothing. You're on feet. I'm driving. You can't catch me. And so the police officer just turns around, picks up his cell phone, and he's just, you know, he's back on Instagram, right? Speaking of Instagram, you're going to see people on motorcycles here. While they're driving their motorcycles, they're texting, they're on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever, right? I've never seen that. I've never seen anybody on a motorcycle riding and texting or whatever it is they're doing on their motorcycle at the same time. Usually back in the States, you know, you'll just get an earpiece and Bluetooth it and punch the thing and talk to the person while you're riding your motorcycle. Not here. Nope, nope, nope. Not that they don't have cheap earpieces or earmugs or whatever. They're just going to do whatever they want to do. And so you have to be aware. You have to be aware. And so these guys are out here on these motorcycles, okay? They are completely irresponsible. They don't assess risk the way you would think someone should. And so they're having accidents. And when you get to the hospital here, or when they get to the hospital, they don't have insurance. And so the doctors are not going to take extraordinary measures to save their legs because nobody's paying for this. And so they're going to save the person's life, but in doing so, they're going to whack that leg off. They're just going to whack it off. Sew you up, treat you and street you. That's what it's going to be. And that is what's happening. Now, one would think that, okay, we see this happening to a large extent, so why don't we just kind of slow our roll? That ain't the Dominican way. They're just going to keep going and keep riding, keep driving the way they do. They will go, if you're sitting in traffic, right, and you're at a stop sign, and the traffic's backed up, they will go on the other side of the road and just head on down the street. They don't give a flip. As a matter of fact, I'm going down a one-way street, right? This is when I first get. This is like back in March. I'm just getting here. I'm living over in the Villa Olga area, and I'm going down a one-way street. The one-way street, you know, it's 2 lanes. One lane. When you get to the end of the street, it's like T-bone. You can't go straight. The right lane turns right. The left lane turns left. That's how it has to be. So I'm in the left lane because I want to turn left, you know, because I got someplace I want to be. Well, a guy in a truck is coming from the left because these lanes are doing that, right? So a guy's coming from the left and he wants to turn and go the wrong way on the one-way street. I'm going, dude, what are you doing, right? Well, there again is another police officer there, right? Officer, I'm okay, well, I'm sitting here, I'm in my car, I'm cool, all right, I'm on the right side of the street. No, the police officer tells me to back up and let him go the wrong way on the one-way street. Get that. Let him go the wrong way on the one-way street. And he doesn't know that I'm not Dominican. He just figures I need to get out of the way and let this truck driver do whatever he wants to do. And it's not a big truck. It's like a pickup truck. And what does he do? I'm looking at him in my rearview mirror, and I see that he goes up 1 block and turn left. Now, he could have just gone down to the next block and turned right and went. But no, go the wrong way because it's what you want to do. It's Dominican style. Just free will it. Do whatever you want. And so there is no law enforcement. So I've gone on about 17 minutes here, and now I want to share with you this statistic that I looked up, and I'll share it on the screen here, but I don't know it. I'll look it up when I get done. In the Dominican Republic, you will find that they have the highest fatality rate due to automobile accidents in the world per capita. The highest fatality rate per capita in the world. And don't worry, don't think about it. It's just not a thing. Okay? They just let it go. Let the people die. This is something that can be stopped, and this doesn't have to do with poverty or education or anything like that. This just has to do with enforcing the law, because most of the people here have driver's license. I say most because some don't. That same guy that was telling me about, they have licenses, but they don't follow the law once they get the license. They know the law enough to pass the test to get the license. He was telling me most of the people don't have license, and he even knows the one guy who's gone 20 years driving around, has no license. You wouldn't think of driving for 20 minutes. I wouldn't anyway in the U.S. without a driver's license, because you know what'll happen. But here it's just not really enforced. And so as a result, they have the highest fatality rate because of the irresponsible kind of driving. They will just pull over on you. Okay, if you're driving down the street, you're in the right lane, somebody's in the left, they'll just start coming over. Signal or no signal. As a matter of fact, I think they think that if they have the signal on, then you should just hit the brakes and let them over, because they got the signal on, the turn signal on, and that's just the way it is. One last thing, the streets, the physical street. You need to be careful when it comes to driving in these streets. I know there are potholes and that kind of thing, but I'm going to tell you about one thing, and then we're going to end this. One thing that I saw just the other day, I was leaving a friend's house. He invited me over for dinner and all that kind of stuff, and I'm headed back home. I see a manhole without a cover. A manhole cover is gone. Two questions. Who goes and lifts a manhole cover and takes it home with them? I want to know who that is. Because who are you? And then secondly, what municipality just leaves the manhole cover uncovered? No cones around it, no replacement manhole, no like little, like police yellow tape around to let you know. If you go by this thing at nighttime and you're driving 35, 40, maybe even 50 miles an hour, your front tire, left or right, don't matter, hits that manhole. What do you think the condition of your vehicle is going to be after that? Because it's not like a pothole. There's no bottom. Well, there's a bottom, but it's a whole lot further down than your tire is going to want to go. So it's going to tear out the bottom of your car. And then after that, you're going to be in the hospital depending on the speed you're driving. And who's going to pay for that? They're not going to pay for it. You're toast. And so you have to be careful if you're going to move outside of certain parts of the world to other parts of the world, because the driving conditions, they're just different. Now, I'm not saying that you can't drive. Obviously, I'm in my car. I'm driving, pretty much every day. And a lot of other Americans are driving down here. I would caution you, because the bikes are cheap. I'm assuming that's why a lot of people buy them. If you do that, understand that, it's different down here. If you buy a car and decide to drive, just understand that the laws and the rules that you're accustomed to may not necessarily apply. The laws of physics don't apply here, okay? It's wildly different, but it is the wild, wild west, so be careful. And if you come here and you decide to drive, I'm not telling you to not do it, because it's your life, so make it a good one. Thanks for joining me. Until next time.